Tom Brady has retired twice, and the last time he promised it was permanent.
We explored a lot of different things, and I'm very happily retired. Let me just say that too.
Then flag football footage hit, and he's admitting on camera he went to the league and asked about playing again. A Raiders stake that complicates everything, a divorce football helped cause, and the man himself dead serious, saying he could still do it.
Funny enough you ask, I actually have inquired, and they don't like that idea very much.
So the greatest quarterback of all time officially announcing his NFL comeback is the kind of thing that stops the entire sports world cold, and we're going to walk through exactly how it happened. Brady goes to the league and asks the question. The story that started all of this did not come from a leak or a rumor account. It came from Brady's own mouth. During a sit-down interview, Brady was pressed on the one thing every fan has wanted to know since the day he stepped away from the field. The interviewer set it up carefully, almost daring Brady to confirm what people were already whispering. He brought up the flag football footage that had been making the rounds, the lateral move, the pass with real velocity behind it that landed in the hands of Stephon Diggs. Then he framed the real question. He said,
I'm not going to ask you if you're preparing a comeback. I'm not going to go down that road. All I'm going to ask you is if you have looked into the NFL rules of a minority owner temporarily coming back, say week 14 or something. Like, have you at least inquired if that's allowed?
And that is where Brady gave the answer that lit the fuse. He did not laugh it off. He did not say the idea never crossed his mind. Instead, he leaned in and admitted that he had actually gone and asked in his words.
Funny enough you ask, I actually have inquired, and they don't like that idea very much.
Sit with that for a second, because this is the heart of why the comeback conversation refuses to die. Brady confirmed he inquired with the NFL about returning as a player while keeping his minority ownership stake in the Las Vegas Raiders. This was not a hypothetical posed by a host. This was Brady saying that he personally had taken the step of contacting the league to find out whether the door was open. The man who has retired and unretired before had once again gone knocking. For anyone tracking this saga, that single admission was enough to send the headline spinning, because a player exploring a return is exactly the type of breadcrumb that gets turned into a full meal online. But the rest of what Brady said in that same breath is just as important, and it is the part that often gets cut out of the clips. After admitting he inquired, he immediately added context. He said,
So I'm gonna leave it at that. We explored a lot of different things, and I'm very happily retired. Let me just say that too.
He kept going, painting a picture of a man who genuinely enjoys where he is now. He talked about how much he loved being out there in the flag game, and then he said the line that tells you a lot about his current mindset.
I love not getting hit. I've got a lot of really fun things I'm involved in, and it's never going to be old, and get old throwing passes to incredible athletes on the football field.
And he closed it out by saying that if anything, the flag football game reconfirmed to him that he is very happy in his retirement. So here's the timeline as it actually unfolded. Brady plays flag football. The footage looks good. A reporter asks whether he has looked into the rules for an owner temporarily returning. Brady confirms he inquired. The league, by his own account, was not enthusiastic, and Brady wrapped the whole thing by saying he is happily retired. These comments came during a March 2026 interview and were picked up across major outlets within hours. The reason this took off is obvious. When a 7-time Super Bowl champion says the words, "I actually have inquired," people stop listening to everything that comes after. The inquiry is the spark. The rest is the part that gets lost in the noise. And to understand why a casual inquiry from Brady carries the weight of a breaking news alert, you have to understand exactly who is doing the inquiring and why he, of all people, gets the benefit of the doubt every single time. Why everyone believes Brady could actually do it. To grasp why this comeback talk carries such explosive, almost gravitational force, you have to understand the absolutely staggering shadow Tom Brady casts over the sport. This is not some career backup floating a fantasy. This is the most decorated, most accomplished, most relentlessly successful quarterback the game has ever witnessed. And that pedigree transforms even his most offhand remark into a seismic event that ripples across every sports network in the country. Consider the sheer, almost dizzying scale of what this man built over 23 seasons. Brady won 7 Super Bowl championships, more than any single NFL franchise has ever managed, and he did it across 2 different teams, dragging the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to a title at age 43 in his very first year wearing their colors. He claimed 5 Super Bowl MVP awards and 3 regular season MVP trophies. He sits atop the all-time leaderboard in passing yards, with a colossal 89,214, in passing touchdowns with 649, in completions, in regular season wins with 251, and in playoff wins with 35. These are not numbers that simply lead the pack. These are numbers that tower over it. monuments so tall that no active quarterback is realistically projected to climb anywhere near them without somehow playing at an elite level deep into their own 40s. And then there is the single most intoxicating ingredient in the entire Brady mythology, the thing that makes a comeback feel plausible when it should feel impossible, the comebacks themselves. The man is, quite literally, the greatest comeback artist the league has ever produced. Brady holds the NFL record for the most career fourth-quarter comebacks, with more than 44 documented games where his team trailed in the final quarter, and he willed them to victory anyway. He leads in game-winning drives, and looming above all of it is the most legendary single performance in championship history. The night his Patriots clawed back from a suffocating 28-3 deficit against the Atlanta Falcons in Super Bowl LI, the largest comeback the Super Bowl has ever seen, capped by a record-shattering 466 passing yards and an overtime triumph. When a man has rewritten the definition of impossible that many times, the idea of him defying age itself starts to feel less like delusion and more like destiny. This is precisely why Brady's own confidence lands the way it does. In a separate electric exchange, Brady was asked point blank whether he could still play at this very moment, and his answer was pure, unfiltered swagger. He declared,
"They called me into action right now. Would I be ready to go?"
That was my next question. Would you be ready to go right now?
I'd whoop ass right now, to be honest.
Would you really?
I'm
pressed on whether he was serious, whether his knees and hips could really handle it. Brady doubled down without a flicker of hesitation.
I could go out there and play. Give me a month. I could go play with anybody.
31 days, he insisted. That is all the runway he claimed he would need. There is also the matter of his almost supernatural durability, which is the quiet engine beneath the entire legend. Brady played 23 seasons and missed essentially only one of them to injury. The 2008 campaign lost to a torn knee. He suited up into his mid-40s while the men he was throwing to and the men chasing him were often half his age. He won a championship at 43. He threw for more than 5,000 yards in a season at 44. That is not normal aging. That is a man who appeared to have negotiated some private treaty with time. And it is precisely that history of defying the calendar that makes "give me a month" sound in his mouth less like fantasy and more like a man stating a fact about himself that has been true his entire career. The reverence runs so deep that even his predecessors have bowed to it. Joe Montana, the man who held the unofficial title of greatest quarterback before Brady arrived, was asked directly whether Brady had replaced him as the consensus GOAT, and Montana did not flinch. He acknowledged that Brady took his place at the top a long time ago, praising the tremendous career and crediting everything Brady accomplished as putting him firmly at the summit of the all-time list. Montana even reached back through history, name-checking the old giants of the game, and still landed on Brady as the man at the top when you weigh the full body of work. When the legend you replaced is publicly handing you the crown, and doing so with genuine admiration rather than grudging acceptance, the aura becomes almost unassailable. It is the kind of endorsement that turns a confident boast into something the public is primed to believe. So when Brady says he inquired about coming back, the football world does not dismiss it the way it would dismiss anyone else. It cannot. This is the man who turned a 28-3 hole into a coronation, who played championship caliber football into his mid-40s, who holds every meaningful longevity record the sport can offer. His confidence is not the empty boast of a forgotten star. It is the considered opinion of the most accomplished player alive. And that is exactly what makes the next part of this story so fascinating, because for all that overwhelming credibility, the path back onto an NFL field is tangled in a web of complications that have absolutely nothing to do with whether Brady can still sling a tight spiral. The ownership wall standing in his way. Here's where the dream collides head-on with the cold, bureaucratic machinery of the modern NFL. And it is a wall that Brady, of all people, built himself. The single most decisive obstacle standing between Tom Brady and a return to the field is not his age, not his knees, and not the brutal physics of getting tackled. It is a business decision he made off the field, one that quietly and permanently complicated everything. Brady became a minority owner of the Las Vegas Raiders, with his stake approved around 2024. On paper, it was the perfect landing spot for a retiring icon, a seat at the ownership table, a voice in front office decisions, a permanent stake in the league he conquered. But that very move slammed a door that Brady may not have fully appreciated at the time. NFL rules generally prohibit active players from holding ownership stakes in teams, and the conflict that creates is enormous. The moment Brady acquired equity in the Raiders, he effectively boxed himself out of a straightforward return, because a player cannot simultaneously be an owner profiting from the league and a competitor playing within it. The analysts who follow this maze of regulations laid out exactly how steep the climb would be. As one breakdown put it bluntly, the equity stake was the killer.
Once he got equity in the Raiders, that slammed the door on any potential comeback, including the Raiders. There would have to be like a majority vote or supermajority vote. It may have to be unanimous vote to let Brady play again now that he owns a piece of the Raiders. So
think about the absurdity of that requirement. For Brady to suit up, the other team owners, his business partners and rivals, would potentially have to vote, perhaps unanimously, to allow it. That is not a hurdle. That is a fortress. And this context reframes Brady's own inquiry in a fascinating light. Remember, the question he was asked was specifically about the rules for a minority owner temporarily coming back, perhaps for a stretch run in Week 14. Brady was not naive about his situation. He knew the ownership stake was the complication, which is precisely why his inquiry was framed around whether an owner could temporarily return at all. He went and asked the league how to thread that exact needle, and the league's response, by his own admission, was that they did not like the idea very much. The wall held. This explains the deep skepticism that greeted Brady's confident "give me a month" boast. The analysts dissecting his comments did not just doubt his body. They pointed straight at the structural impossibility. As one of them framed, the issue is not really about whether Brady wants to play.
I don't think he could withstand the physical pounding at age 48.
Mike, he couldn't withstand the pounding, but the story is he wants to. He's not allowed to do it. He wants to. That has never left him.
That distinction is everything. The desire, they argued, has never faded. The longing to compete still burns inside him. But wanting to play and being permitted to play are two entirely separate things, and the ownership stake severed them cleanly. The same breakdown captured the almost tragic comedy of Brady's predicament by tallying up everything he juggles now.
That has never left. If Tom Brady could, let's count the jobs right now. The Let's Go podcast, he's involved in that somehow. Raiders, owner of the Raiders, minority owner of the Raiders, Fox broadcaster, other ventures. If he could do that and still play football, he'd do it. That's what he's telling you.
The argument is that Brady's empire, the very success he built off the field, is what now imprisons him. He has constructed a post-playing life so lucrative and so entangled that the simple act of playing a down of football would unravel a web of obligations and conflicts. And those obligations are staggering in their own right. Brady signed a record 10-year, $375 million broadcasting contract to serve as the lead NFL analyst for Fox Sports, a deal that places him in the broadcast booth calling the league's biggest games. He is scheduled to return to Gillette Stadium to broadcast a Patriots game, sitting in the very building where his legend was forged, but with a headset on rather than a helmet. The ownership stake, the broadcasting empire, the podcast, the ventures, all of it forms a gilded cage. So when you stack the unanimous vote requirement on top of the broadcasting conflict, on top of the basic prohibition against player owners, the path back narrows to something close to non-existent. But the obstacles are not only contractual, because even if every owner voted yes tomorrow, there is a far more personal and far more human set of reasons Brady walked away in the first place. And those reasons cut deeper than any league bylaw. The human cost that pulled him away. Strip away the contracts and the ownership rules for a moment, and you arrive at the rawest, most human layer of this entire saga, the part that explains why Brady might not truly want to come back even if the league rolled out the red carpet. Because the pursuit of greatness that built his legend also extracted a staggering personal toll, and Brady has spoken about it with a candor that reveals the weight he still carries. The most painful chapter is the collapse of his marriage. Brady and supermodel Gisele Bündchen had been together for 16 years, married since 2009, raising 2 children together and presented to the world as an unbreakable power couple. But the cracks ran deep, and the breaking point traced directly back to football. Brady announced his retirement in February 2022, then unretired less than 2 months later to play one more season with the Buccaneers, and that reversal detonated tensions that had been building for years. Gisele had wanted more family time. Brady chose the field one more time. The couple filed for divorce on October 28, 2022, ending the marriage during the very season the unretirement had bought him. When Brady finally broke his silence on the split, his words were heavy with self-awareness and quiet regret. Speaking on his SiriusXM podcast, he confronted how his single-minded drive had cost him at home. He confessed this was not a man spinning a press release.
I feel like I'm so driven to succeed in football, and that's taken me away from other important priorities, which are my kids, my wife.
This was a husband and father reckoning in real time with the price of his obsession. He spoke about the constant struggle to compartmentalize, to lock work away when he walked through the front door, and he admitted how hard that balance had become.
She's really held it down for our family, and I'm just super grateful that, she really committed so much of her time the last, 14 years to make sure everything was so stable at home so I could go live my dream.
He also went out of his way to honor what Giselle had sacrificed to make his dream possible. With evident gratitude, he reflected, and in one of the most telling admissions of the entire conversation, Brady touched the guilt that lingers, comparing himself to the example his own parents set.
I want to try to spend my time with, when I'm focused on my job. When I'm focused with my family. And I look back at my parents, and my dad and mom did the same thing for me. So maybe some guilt that I haven't been able to do that in the same way for my kids.
He acknowledged that word guilt hangs over everything. It is the sound of a man who won everything the sport could offer and is still counting what it cost. The physical bill came due as well, even for an athlete who treated his body like a temple. Brady's most defining injury was a torn ACL and MCL in the opening week of the 2008 season, which wiped out his entire year and ended a streak of 111 consecutive starts. Across his first 17 seasons alone, he landed on the injury report more than 186 times for everything from shoulder and elbow ailments to fractured ribs and lingering knee trouble. He played through a separated shoulder, through torn hand ligaments, through pain that would have benched lesser men. He even noted afterward that his repaired left knee never quite felt like his right one again. The wear was real, the toll was cumulative, and the body keeps a ledger that no amount of preparation fully erases. There is also the shadow of head trauma that hangs over every long NFL career. While Brady was never officially listed with a diagnosed concussion, Gisela Bündchen publicly stated in 2017 that Brady had concussions essentially every season, including one in 2016. Brady himself acknowledged having definitely suffered concussions while downplaying the long-term worry, leaning on his training methods as his shield. But the broader reality of football, the repetitive subconcussive hits absorbed over 2 decades, is a risk that follows every player who stays as long as he did, and it is a risk that does not disappear the day a player retires. It is worth pausing on how Brady himself has framed the broader sacrifice, because his reflections after the divorce went beyond a single relationship. In his public comments, he kept circling back to the same theme, the tension between the professional who must lock in at work and the father and husband who is supposed to be present at home. He described compartmentalizing his two worlds as a genuine challenge, one he did not always win. He talked about wanting to hold his head high both on and off the field, an aspiration that quietly admits he had not always managed to. And he spoke about cherishing the special moments with his family and taking advantage of them when he could. Language that carries the unmistakable ache of someone who knows how many of those moments slipped past while he was chasing rings. This is the emotional architecture behind a retirement decision, and it is far sturdier than any contract clause. This is the context that gives Brady's own words their full weight. When he says he loves not getting hit, when he says the flag football game reconfirmed his happiness in retirement, he is not speaking in a vacuum. He is speaking as a man who paid for his greatness with his marriage, with his body, and with time he can never get back with his children. The drive that made him the GOAT is the same drive he now describes with a tinge of guilt. So when we finally weigh whether this comeback is real, we have to weigh it against a man who has every reason in the world to stay exactly where he is. And that brings us to the moment of truth, the part where we lay everything on the table and answer the question the title demanded. So did Tom Brady officially announce his comeback? Now we arrive at the verdict, and it is time to be direct after walking through every thread of the story. The headline claims Tom Brady officially announced his NFL comeback after examining what he actually said, what the league actually told him, and the mountain of obstacles standing in the way. The honest answer is that no formal announcement of a playing comeback has happened. What Brady delivered was the opposite of an announcement. It was a confirmation that he explored the idea and then chose firmly to stay retired. Let's retrace the evidence one final time, so the picture is unmistakable. Brady did say, in his own words, that he inquired with the league. That part is true, and it is the seed from which every sensational headline grew. But in that very same answer, he made his actual position crystal clear. He said the league did not like the idea, that he was going to leave it at that, and then he delivered the line that settles everything.
We explored a lot of different things, and I'm very happily retired. Let me just say that too. So
he even added that the flag football game reconfirmed his happiness away from the sport. A man announcing a comeback does not tell you, in the same breath, that the experience reaffirmed his retirement. The reporting backs this up completely. The exploration went nowhere, and Brady confirmed he is happily retired with no active playing return expected. The inquiry was real. The comeback is not. The headline takes a genuine quote and stretches it past its breaking point, transforming "I asked and they said no, and I'm happy" into official comeback announcement. That is the anatomy of a clickbait headline, and Brady's own retirement saga makes him the perfect target for it. And that history is exactly why this rumor keeps finding oxygen. Brady has cried wolf before, In a sense, he retired in February 2022, unretired in March 2022, then retired for good in February 2023. He has a documented pattern of stepping away and stepping back, so every time he says anything remotely open-ended, the internet braces for another reversal. Layer on his bottomless confidence, the "give me a month, I could play with anybody" bravado, and the flag football clip showing he can still throw. And you have the perfect storm for a recycled comeback rumor that refuses to die. But the skeptics covering this saga saw through it clearly, and their reasoning is worth respecting. They pointed to the ownership wall, the requirement for what could be a unanimous owner vote now that Brady holds equity in the Raiders.
Yeah, I call BS on that. You don't write that check. The thing about writing that check, it never gets taken to the bank. No one's ever going to call him on it.
They pointed to age and the physical pounding, with one analyst flatly arguing that Father Time has won and Brady simply could not withstand the punishment at this stage. As one of them put it with blunt finality, the point being that it is easy and consequence-free to claim you could still play when you will never actually be asked to prove it on a Sunday. There is even a poetic resolution to all of this. The skeptics noted that Brady would get his chance to test that check under safe conditions, and he did exactly that, taking the field for a flag football event in Saudi Arabia where the threat of getting hit simply does not exist. He gets to throw to elite athletes, show off the arm, feel the competition, and walk away unbruised. That is the comeback Brady actually wants. The one without the broken marriages, the fractured ribs, the concussions, and the time stolen from his kids. He told us as much when he said he loves not getting hit and that he is happy in retirement. So here's the bottom line. Weighed fairly against everything Brady has said and done. He flirted with the idea, he formally inquired, and the answer he got, combined with the life he has built and the cost he has already paid, led him right back to the same place. Happily retired. The official comeback announcement is a headline doing what headlines do with a transcendent figure like Brady, amplifying a real quote into a story it was never meant to tell. Brady is staying in the booth in the owner's box and on the flag football field. The pads are staying in the closet. And given the marriage, the body, the ownership maze, and his own repeated insistence that he is happy where he is, that is almost certainly exactly where Tom Brady wants them to stay. Loved this video? Click on this card for more.